One of my favorite vegetables is a Brussels sprout, and I've discovered a lot of people across Oklahoma do not feel that way. So while I like them straight out of the pot with a little bit of salt, I'm looking for ways that other people will begin to enjoy my pleasure with me. So what we're doing today is Brussels sprouts with a toasted pecan and a dried cranberry. And in order to start this, first of all, you've got to get some really nice Brussels sprouts, and that may be why a lot of people aren't as fond of them. I'm starting with fresh because to me there's a dramatic difference between the quality of the fresh and the frozen. So start with fresh and then soak them in lukewarm water for about 10 minutes. That way we'll pull out any little critters that might be in there. And then you want to look, if possible, for some that are pretty much the same size. And you can see that this did not happen this time. And I'm going to work with that a little bit to try and solve that problem. But first step here is to remove the end. Now we don't want to remove a lot because we want to keep as many of the leaves as we can. And then we're going to cut an X in the bottom. Not real deep, but just an X in there. And that will allow the heat and the water to penetrate in there and give us a more even cooking. Now because this one is so much smaller, I still want to remove that end bit, but I'm not going to make an X. I'm just going to make one slice, and that will slow it down. The water won't be able to penetrate, and hopefully they'll cook closer to the same pace. So that's all there is to it as far as prepping the Brussels sprouts. The next step is to actually cook them. And we want to use a method where we use a lot of water because there's a lot of volatiles in here that have sulfur compounds and whatnot, and we want to get those out. So we have a lot of water in order to cook these so that those volatile acids can move into that cooking water and not be left for us to have a lot of sulfur flavor later on. So I've got about 6 cups of water that I've heated up. You can see it's already at a boil. And we're going to add our Brussels sprouts to this, and we're going to cover it, but not tightly because some of those volatile acids are going to come out as gases, and we want them to be able to get away from the pan rather than dissolve back in and become part of the pan. So put the lid on a jar, bring that back to a boil, and let it cook for anywhere from 6 to 9 minutes, depending on how soft you want them. Just remember, however, that the longer they cook, the stronger the flavor is going to be. So particularly if you're not fond of that sulfur flavor that comes off these kind of vegetables, because they are in the cabbage family, then you want to cook them the shorter time and stop at 6 minutes. While your Brussels sprouts are cooking, you can go ahead and make the sauce for them. I have a tablespoon of extra virgin olive oil and 2 teaspoons of balsamic vinegar. And that's going to give a lot of flavor to these that is a little bit unexpected. I also have a half a teaspoon of salt and a 1/4 of a teaspoon of pepper. And I want to whisk those together and get them a little bit combined. And then I'm going to add these other 2 ingredients to it. You don't want to do this exceptionally early, or at least the last phase of it exceptionally early, because I have a 1/4 of a cup of dried cranberries, and then I've also got, how much? 2 tablespoons of finely chopped toasted pecans, and I don't want them to sit in this sauce because they're going to get a little bit soft, so I want to retain that. So you can do that while you're waiting for the Brussels sprouts to finish up, and when they're done, you're ready to drain them well. And do check them with a paring knife to make sure that the ends of them are as soft as you would like, because once you do this, there's no going back. You can't continue the cooking at this point. Drain them well. Get as much of that water off, because we have a sauce that's got a fat base, and if there's a lot of liquid left on these, it's just going to roll off. So we want to try and get them as dry as we can. Put our Brussels sprouts in a serving dish that's a large enough size. And at this point, we can go ahead and stir in the pecans. We wanted to wait till that last minute. Stir those just a tad, and basically you're ready to have everybody come to the table now, because this is just got to be stirred together and served. It's a great way. It adds a lot of interesting flavor to a vegetable that for some people is not high on the list. So I hope you'll give this one a try. It looks particularly festive during the holiday time, but it's also great the rest of the year. This is Brussels sprouts with toasted pecans and dried cranberries. For Oklahoma Gardening, this is Barbara Brown.